Hi everyone, and welcome to our class practice on slope and linear equations. This worksheet breaks down each step of going from 2 points to slope-intercept form. So let's get started. To find the slope between two pairs of points, we use the formula y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1, which means we need to label our points x1, y1, and x2, y2. When I plug in these numbers, I'll get 10 minus 4 all over 5 minus negative 1, which will turn into a big plus. 10 minus 4 is 6, and 5 plus 1 is 6. And then if I simplify, 6 divided by 6 is 1. So 1 is my slope. Step 2 says write the equation of the line in point-slope form. Point-slope form is y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1. I now know that my slope is 1, so that's going to go there. And then I need to pick one of my 2 points to plug into this equation. I think I'm going to pick the one that I labeled x1, y1. So this will look like y minus 4 equal to 1 times x minus negative 1, which will turn into a big plus. Then step 3 says distribute and solve for y to rewrite your equation to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to start with my equation above, and I'm going to distribute, so double rainbow, which will get me x. 1 times x is just x, and 1 times 1 is 1. And then if I add 4 to either side, I will get y equals x plus 5, which is my slope-intercept form. Nice. Let's try number 2. Given the following equation of the line, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that is parallel to the given line and through the point -1, 6. Parallel lines have the same slope. So first, I need to figure out the slope of the line that they give me. And I know that the slope is always in front of the x. So the slope of this line is 4. And since parallel lines have the same slope, the slope of my parallel line will also be 4. Step 2 says write the equation of the line in point-slope form using the slope that we just found, so 4, and the point -1, 6. I'm going to label this point x1 and y1 and plug it into my point-slope form. So I will have y minus 6 equal to my slope, which is 4, times x minus -1. And 2 minuses, once again, will turn into a big plus. And then step 3, I have to distribute and solve for y to rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to start with my equation from above. I'm going to distribute, or double rainbow. 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 1 is 4. And then in order to solve for y, I need to add 6 to either side, which will get me y equals 4x plus 10. For number 3, it says rewrite the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. In order to do this, I need to get y all by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 3x from either side. This will cancel out, leaving me with 5y equals -3x plus 18. And then in order to get y by itself, I need to divide by 5 to both terms. Since 3 and 5 don't divide evenly, I can leave that as -3 over 5x. And since 18 and 5 don't divide evenly, I'm going to leave that as a fraction as well. And that is my slope-intercept form. Let's move on to number 4. Given the following equation of the line, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that is perpendicular to the given line and goes through the point -3, 8. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So I first have to find the slope of the line that they give me, which is 1/5. And in order to find my new slope, I'm going to flip this value to be 5/1, and I have to make it negative since 1/5 was positive. And so the slope of my perpendicular line will be -5/1. Step 2, I now need to write the equation in point slope form. So my point is -3, which is my x, 8, which is my y. So I'm going to write this as y minus 8 equals -5, which was my slope, times x minus -3. And two negatives will turn into a big plus. I'm going to start with that equation in step 3. And I'm going to distribute. -5 times x is -5x, and -5 times 3 is -15. And then I have to get y by itself by adding 8. Y equals -5x minus 7. Very nice. And now for the last part of this video, we are going to talk about linear functions. Linear functions have a constant slope. So as I'm looking at these tables, I need to make sure that the change in y over the change in x is always the same. So let's look at number 5. To get from 4 to 8, you add 4. And to go from 0 to 1, you add 1. If I was to write that as a slope, that would be 4/1. Change in y over change in x. To go from 8 to 12, I add 4. And to go from 1 to 2, I add 1. Once again, that slope will be 4/1. And then to go from 12 to 16, I add 4. And from 2 to 3, I add 1. And so that slope is also 4/1. Since the slope was the same the entire time, this is a linear function because it has a constant slope. So number 5 is a linear function. Let's look at number 6 now. To go from 7 to 9, I add 2. And to go from -3 to -2, I add 1. So that is the slope, 2/1. To go from 9 to 11, I add 2. And to go from -2 to 0, I add 2. So that will be the slope, 2/2. These are different slopes, so this is not a linear function. Because there is not a constant slope. To have a constant slope, the slope has to be the same all the way through the table. So let's check number 7. For number 7, to go from 5 to 10, I add 5. And to go from -2 to 0, I add 2. So that is the slope, 5/2. To go from 10 to 15, I add 5. And from 0 to 2, I add 2. So that is the slope, 5/2. And to go from 15 to 20, I add 5. And from 2 to 4, I add 2. And so that is the slope, 5/2. The slope was the same all the way through the table. So this is a linear function. It has a constant slope. So make sure when you see questions like this, you check all the values in the table. You need to go all through the table so that you make sure the slope is the same for each set of 2 points, because maybe the last values are different. So make sure that you check every single value in the table. And if there's a constant slope all throughout, then it is a linear function. I hope this video helps, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in class.